political viewpoint, it was a radical solution to solve an unprecedented problem, a blatant shift to the left away from New Labour middle ground policy, or a reckless gamble that will lead to £1 trillion public debt. But what will the Chancellor's pre-budget speech mean for Scotland? Our reporter Andy Castle's been trying to find out.
So, has he pulled it out of the bag, or has he just gambled with Britain's economic future? Either way, the Chancellor's £20 billion fiscal stimulus is based on the Treasury's forecasts of economic growth, or lack of it.
UK GDP contracted by 0.5% in the 3 months to September, and growth this year is forecast to be 0.75%, which reflects a further fall in output in the fourth quarter of this year. And I'm forecasting growth of between 1.5% and 2% in 2010. But in future years, the economy will recover towards a rate of trend growth of around 2.75%.
But has he got his figures right?
Some of the assumptions that are in the current forecast for GDP are that immigration, population growth, i.e. immigration, continues to be high. There's a question mark over that. The business investment goes above trend from recent years, again, question mark over that. And the dwellings investment makes the same contribution as it has in recent years. Big question mark over that.
But does that matter? After all, the aim is to help people through the recession as quickly and as pain-free as possible. The UK government assumes that economic recovery by 2010 will be fairly swift.
The Chancellor appears to be forecasting what might be termed a V-shaped recession, which is fairly shallow contraction and rapid upturn back to trend in 2011. Now this may of course happen, but I am a little concerned that it is somewhat over-optimistic.
So the recession may be longer and deeper than the Chancellor predicts, but has he done enough to kick-start the recovery when it comes?
They've put in place a significant fiscal stimulus, about 1.5% of GDP. It's over £20 billion. Most people are arguing for in the range of 15 to 30 billion pounds. So there is a good chance that it will work.
Once things do get going, although when that will be is almost anybody's guess, then it's likely that Scotland will continue to grow more slowly than the UK, partly due to population, but probably also due to productivity.
And by the time recovery does come, record public sector debt will have left the UK heavily in the red.
Well, earlier this evening I spoke to Dougie Adams, the Scottish Economic Advisor for the Ernst & Young Iton Club. I started by asking him whether his forecast of a severe downturn had changed in light of the pre-budget report.
Forecasting the economy at the moment is really challenging. The Treasury forecast that came out yesterday, I think, is right at the optimistic end of things, and I think our forecast that we've come out with recently is fairly at the optimistic end of things as well. So I'm not minded to change our forecast for Scotland in any way, except to take account of the continuing gloom. So if we were updating things right now, I might be tempted to push things a bit more negative.
Right, so the risks are in that direction rather than the other.
The risks are all on the downside at the moment.
Now, just to explain to us, part of those risks obviously are that the government's projected almost a V-shaped recession, just a bounce back in the economy from the end of next year, may not be credible. But do you think there are projections that tax revenues will recover and go on pretty much the way they were before this financial crisis happened? Is that credible?
Well, the forecasts are kind of, we get back to business as usual once this crisis is behind us. And we seem to get through this crisis quite quickly, and then we get back to business as usual. And really the big question is, has the economy sustained real damage in terms of its potential growth rate, the fastest growth rate it can grow at because of this episode? And I think there are good reasons to raise that question. The financial services sector has been incredibly important in the UK and incredibly important in Scotland, and we know that the Scottish financial services sector is about to be transformed out of all recognition. So we've lost that growth dynamic, so that raises questions about the rate we can grow at, and it raises questions about how much tax revenues will come back when we do see recovery.
One of the differences between the recent forecast that you made and the prospectus that the Fraser of Allender Institute came out with was that they were relatively more pessimistic than you about whether Scotland would escape more lightly than the rest of the UK, and their argument was that the relative importance here of the financial sector meant that Scotland could suffer in a way analogous to the way that the south of England is going to suffer. From what you're saying, you seem to be coming more towards their kind of view.
Well, I think if I was saying I was getting more negative, I'd be getting more negative about the UK as well. I think that Scotland gets through this in slightly less bad shape than the rest of the UK, largely because London and the South East take such a big hit from financial services. And other bits of the UK, such as Yorkshire and Humberside or the South West, have fairly big financial services sectors as well. And we've yet to see how the restructuring of financial services plays out, whether Scotland can capture bits that are kind of floating around, as it were, up for grabs. So I think the fact that Scotland's less exposed to the housing bust, although we're going to feel that, the fact that we've got a large public sector, that kind of gives us some protection through this period. But it's only a bit of protection. Let's not overemphasise the difference between us and the rest of the UK.
Quick look at tomorrow's front pages, starting with the Herald. It leads with a story saying that Britain's frontline forces are being exposed to unnecessary risk because of delays in acquiring the right equipment and poor leadership inside the MOD, it says. And above that, authorities in the United States, this is about the £800 billion injection into the ailing American economy. And the Scotsman has a story about the Hannah Foster case.